So I'm coming to you today with some bad news, which is a significant number of e-commerce brands are going to quote unquote fail pretty quickly. And the evidence is right in front of their faces. This is not me being pessimistic, so let me explain. We're going to do some back napkin math. First thing, the average click-through rate on a social ad is roughly 1%. The CPM for a conversion-focused campaign on Facebook, for example, could be roughly $20, sometimes higher, a little bit lower. The average conversion rate for a Shopify store is 1.4%, so 1.4% of your site visitors end up coming in and completing a transaction. That's pretty terrible. Let's assume for a second you've got a better website, a good path to purchase. Let's bump you to 4%. So far, so good? Good. Now let's assume that the advertiser plans to spend $10,000 on a social ads campaign. So with that math that we know so far, that means that they can expect roughly 500,000 impressions, 500,000, and roughly 5,000 clicks on their ads. Now at a 1.4% conversion rate, that's 70 purchases. At a 4% conversion rate, that's 200 purchases. So far, so good. Now, let's imagine that they have an average shopping cart size of $50. The average order that comes through the site, $50. It's low, but it's relatively common. That means that that brand in question here can expect roughly $3,500 in revenue at a 1.4% conversion rate or $10,000 at a 4% conversion rate. Now, you lose $6,500 in the first scenario, and the brand breaks even in the second scenario, but this doesn't include the cost of the team or the agency, the design of the ads, or what have you. And so when it's all said and done, you've lost money there too. Now, there are numerous implications to this. The first one, which is to say, oh no, we have no business. And a lot of people arrive at that decision very frequently because the unit economics are not there. However, there are two scenarios to this that I think gets ignored very often, and this is something we try to focus on with our clients. Now, the first one is one that's a little bit more, I guess, obvious with the math, and that is if you can find a way to increase your average shopping cart size or your conversion rate, the unit economics go up. So for example, if the average shopping cart size on this e-commerce site was $150 at a 4% conversion rate instead of 50, now all of a sudden you have $30,000 in revenue on $10,000 in ad spend, and the math can work out a little bit better. That's the quote unquote easy way, even though there's a lot that has to happen in order for you to get to a shopping cart that size or conversion rate at that size at that shopping cart level. The second part is a lot more complicated, and this is something, if you are interested, I would love to chat with you about, and that is the way that you look at your business. A lot of e-commerce clients that we've either pitched and not earned the business with, or others that we have earned the business with, we have this conversation, and that is, if you only focus on the things that you can track on your first transaction, both of those things are important. Number one, the things that you can track, and that is a user comes in through an ad that you've placed, in this example, social media, and they click on it, they convert, fantastic. Or you get a view through conversion, whatever the case is. But we know that 90% of users, and this is information that's publicly available from Nielsen, 90% of users who end up transacting from a brand never click on a brand's ads. There's a lot of other ways that their behavior shows up in the eventual cycle of purchases and getting to the brand at the end of the day that are never going to be tracked in attribution software or inside your Facebook ads dashboard. So there's that. Number one, that means to me, we like looking at it from an overall marketing equivalent revenue perspective, and that is the overall marketing spend compared to the overall revenue stream of the business, and knowing that not everything is going to be attached to a specific ad and being able to give credit for it. The second component of it is lifetime value, and that is understanding the cost, if you will, of transacting to acquire somebody once. If you look at it through this lens, this case study that I just provided on the back of a napkin looks like a total failure. However, if you have a product or service, even at $50 in that scenario where you barely broke even at a 4% conversion rate, but the user ends up buying this product 5 or 6 times a year, now all of a sudden you're not looking at break even, you're looking at break even on the first transaction. But if you acquire somebody who on average is likely to come back to you 5 separate times throughout the year, now all of a sudden you have actually paid a small amount to maybe lose a few dollars on that first transaction, but you're going to earn 5 potentially more transactions over the lifetime of that consumer. There's a lot more to this, and short of putting you to sleep with a 10-minute video, I'll stop it just before 5. Feel free to reach out in the comments and leave me any questions or comments. I'd love to chat.